I was really excited on the first day I had my new kayak until I realised I have a really big problem. Where am I going to go paddle? I thought there'd be plenty of resources available, so I jumped on the Brisbane City Council website and a few other places and then jumped in the truck. Lo and behold, the first couple of places I turned up to weren't even open anymore. So it turns out the current resources aren't that current at all. So I thought what I'd do after all of my research is put together a video of all of my favourite places that are still current, that have the best access, the best views, and the least amount of traffic on the water. So let's go check it out. The spots I've featured here are at various locations throughout Brisbane City. I've done this so that no matter where you are in Brisbane, near or far, you've got plenty of options available to explore. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and most importantly share my channel. The more viewers I have, the more content I can create. Today's content is brought to you by Greenslopes Auto Electrics. Drop in and see Mick and mention my channel and you'll receive 5% off any quote. Alright, let's get cracking. So here at the Dutton Park Recreation Hub, you've got really good access. There's a landing ramp right down on the water, which is used for fishing as well. And you've also got wheelchair access here, which I'm on right now, which you could use if you happen to have a trolley for your kayak. It's not really needed though, because you've only got about a 30-metre walk down from the parking area. So it's not that far to travel at all. There's a pretty good amount of nature to have a look at on the way. The houses up towards West End have got a lot of trees and a lot of flora and fauna, and just across the river here, going up towards the bridge and then towards the Indooroopilly end, in the morning you'll actually hear quite a lot of whipbirds and other birds going along the stretch of UQ there. So it's actually really nice. Early in the morning is probably the best time. This is one of my more favourite places because it's right near my house, but also because the ferry terminal here is actually the last one along the way, so you don't have any traffic on the water. Towards West End you've got traffic on the water with the ferries, but they're not that often. Anywhere from here down towards the city I don't really like to kayak very often because it's a little bit annoying, especially on the weekends. There's a lot of yahoos on jet skis and that sort of thing, idiots in powerboats, so it's probably just best to go from here up towards the Indooroopilly, Jindalee kind of area. So those are my sort of favourite places on the Brisbane River to go. On the river itself for a kayak, it's not too bad. There are nicer places, but as we're progressing up the river we're just going to have a look at each place as we go. There's a little bit of bush area around here. If you come out very early for a paddle you can still hear a few whipbirds and all of the rest of it calling out along this particular spit. On this particular point here there's no houses probably for about 1 kilometre or 2 of the paddle, so it's a great place to get in. There are nicer places further up the river where there are not very many houses at all and plenty of bushland, but as I said, we're just progressing along and we're just having a look at each place as we go up the river towards the top. The boat ramp itself does get a little bit slippery, so if you're just walking in to drop a kayak in, it's a little bit of a pain. As you'll see here with the jetty, it's quite high up. It's not one of those jetties like we have at Dutton Park where it's optimised for kayaking or for dropping a kayak in. So if you're not used to jumping into a kayak from sort of about 1.5 to 2 feet up, it might be a little bit difficult for you. But as I said, if you come here at high tide, if you time your kayaking trip here to come here at high tide, or even halfway up, the boat ramp itself is very easy to get into. So great little place. In the mornings here it's beautiful. The sun coming up over the river is magnificent, and the parks out here are nice, and the drive out here is quite nice as well, so it's a place I recommend. One of many. I'm here this morning at Jindalee boat ramp. It's another one of my favourite places. It's a place that's probably best really early in the morning and on a little bit of a higher tide as well, if preferable. It's not necessarily the only time to come. The boat ramp itself does get a little bit slick, just because of where we are on the river. The Brisbane River's not all that great. It's a little bit muddy, as it is the entire way along. So a lot of the boat ramps that are on the river tend to get muddy and a little bit slick if you're on the wrong part of the tide. The jetty that I'm on now is quite good, but it's not like a Dutton Park, for example, where it has a kayak height, so it's very easy to get in, but it's still quite good access. The best thing about this access to the river and this spot is that the views from here going up towards the top of the Brisbane River are fantastic. You'll see here on the other side that there's heaps of greenery, not a lot of houses. Going up the further end of the river towards Lone Pine, there's only a few houses here and there. There's heaps of bird life around here, and it's a really beautiful paddle first thing in the morning. It's really nice. It's a great little spot. We're now up as far north as we can be within the Brisbane city limits. Just sitting on the North Pine River is Tinchi Tamba Reserve Wetlands. Beautiful little spot. It's got a great day use area. I've actually featured this in one of my previous videos, which you'll see the link to above. Great access. The boat ramp itself here is really good to get into. There's no muddy residue that sits on the ramp like it does on the Brisbane River, so it makes it really easy to get in. You can get in at any part of the tide. If you happen to live in the northern parts of Brisbane or around the Redlands area, this is a place you may or may not be aware of. It's actually pretty well hidden away, but it's a massive park and a really lovely area. As you'll see here, where we are on the North Pine River allows really great access. You can head southward and go out towards the Hornibrook Bridge area, or you can head north up the North Pine River, and that's a really great paddle as well. So it's a really beautiful area, and a lot of bird life, a lot of plant life, and not a lot of houses around this particular area as well, as it's a reserve wetland. So really beautiful area, definitely worth checking out. Place that would be absolutely number one on my list if it wasn't for the terrible access is Enoggera Reservoir. It's by far the most beautiful. First thing in the morning, it's just magnificent. Looking at the sun coming up behind Mount Cootha, it's just amazing. But unfortunately, it's about 300 or 400 meters down to the water, and most people don't have a buggy for their kayak, so they're relying on just carrying their kayak. And if you've got a 20 or 30 kilo kayak to carry those 400 meters down the hill and then back up again, it's not a good idea. So it's by far the most beautiful, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt to get to. Well, we're down here at my favourite place, sort of on the way to Wellington Point. It's Redlands Canoe Club. Super easy access into the water here, and as you can see, just lovely. So you'll see here on the drive in, it's a nice easy drive in, and basically you're straight in the water from the road. Super easy access, awesome views, and all within the city limits, which is awesome. See the boat ramp here, it's all rubberized and not at all slippery, so that's fantastic. It's a great boat ramp, and the best thing about this place is that there's barely ever anybody here. Weekends it does get busy, but during the week it's perfect. It's 9 o'clock now on a Monday morning and there's nobody here at all. It's a little bit remote and a little bit isolated, so mostly sort of local people only know about this place, but the access to the water that it has is great, and the access to Tingalpa Creek that you'll see here is awesome. So we're ready to set off now, so I think we'll get into it.